let's get into the injury report here, guys, for tomorrow night, because we do got to talk about this. I know a lot of Giants fans are a little worried because we're going to have some issues in secondary. But guess what, guys? We're not the only ones. So don't worry too much. It's kind of a level playing field. We'll get into that. First off, out for the game. Drew Phillips is going to be out for the game, and so is Adoree Jackson, both with calf injuries. Now, Adoree Jackson, let's be honest, guys, he hasn't really seen the field a ton as a Giant this year. There's a reason he was around, going into the season there, basically. Not exactly the Adoree Jackson he was a couple years ago. But that being said, again, he's better in presence. He's a guy that still does see the field at that point. You still want him healthy for the game. The big loss, though, is Drew Phillips. So, Drew Phillips has been a guy that I got to say he's exceeded expectations so far, probably, for his rookie year, at least for the first, obviously just a couple weeks here. But for those first couple weeks, I feel like he definitely has exceeded those expectations because we talked about him being a project going into it. And I still think his coverage is going to, be something he's going to improve over time with there. But when it boils down to how he is in the run, he's been very impressive in that role there. So, I've been pretty happy with the way he's been as a rookie so far. And so he's definitely going to get missed. Questionable for the game, Darius Slayton with that thumb injury he suffered last week against the Browns. And the good news, I can at least give you guys some good news in this.
Ooh.
Nick McLeod, there can be only one. He will be in the game. So you lose Adoree Jackson, who wasn't really playing that much. He's only played a quarter of the defensive snaps so far in the season. We lose him, and we lose Drew Phillips. We gain, Nick McLeod. So we'll have to see what happens in the game, how they want to line things up. But obviously, you'd expect Banks, McLeod, and Cordell Flott to be the three out there primarily at that point. I think you'd move Flott into the inside potentially, but we'll see what Dable wants to do. He's both Flott and McLeod in the inside this offseason here. So we'll have to see which way they want to go now. But I do think that in the end, we're not going to miss too much at that point. We'll miss a little bit in the run game, but let's be honest, guys. This is not a run, powerful run team. This is a team that you want running the ball. We've talked about that. Like you don't want this team being, the one that's passing like crazy. You want them running the ball.
Yeah, if you're going to have these kind of injuries, like this is the game you want to have in. When you're talking about your number one running back that you're facing against is Zeke Elliott, whose best years passed him 5 years ago. Yeah.
I'm not afraid of Zeke or Rico. Like, I ain't. And I don't think Giants fans should be whatsoever. Rico. Suave. Dakota says he wants some hot takes. Here, Dakota, the Eagles suck. There's your hot take. Gotta go after the Eagles fans for weekend. Let's get into the Cowboys here. So doubtful for the game. Marquise Bell is out with doubtful with an ankle injury. And Kalen Carson, corner, is also doubtful with a shoulder injury as well. Everybody else is scheduled to play. Now, Bell has been mostly a special teamer for them. So not a huge loss, but still there is a little bit of a loss there. Did only miss 9 snaps on defense this season, but he's had 2 tackles already on special teams, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but that would put him in double-digit special teams tackles for the season, which would at that point be something impressive for the year at that point. Keep in mind, there's not that many snaps in special teams, guys. Carson, though, that's the big loss. So Kalen Carson was a guy they drafted at that point to be a developmental type of corner for them. He's had to start because of the injury with Deron Bland being out with the foot injury. He's played 98% of the defensive snaps last week, guys. 98%. So, yeah, he's out there pretty often. I would expect Andrew Booth and Israel I'm going to say it's wrong probably. I always mispronounce this guy's name. Mukuamu. There we go. Mukuamu. That's a tongue twister. So Mukuamu was a 6th-round pick of the Cowboys back in 2021. Has just 19 defensive snaps on the season there. Is primarily a guy you see on special teams. Booth is the guy who was a second-round pick for the Vikings back in 22. It just never panned out there. Signed with the Cowboys this offseason and has yet to appear in a game. So you're talking about the fact that they're not just missing Carson. They're missing Carson and they're missing Bland. They're missing where they're going to the backup of the backups now at the corner spots, guys. So I'm looking at the big thing I keep seeing right now is Giants fans going, oh, no, we don't have Drew Phillips. Oh, no, we don't have Adoree Jackson. Oh, no, our secondary is in trouble. I would argue, guys, that our secondary is better off, health-wise at least, than the Cowboys right now. Because Diggs, we know, is on the injury report to start the week. Ends up he's going to play. There's no problem there. We kind of expected that part of it. But he's not necessarily 100%. Even if he's 90%, whatever, I'll still take a little bit of advantage with him going against Nabers after all the trash talking those two are doing this offseason. But now you're going into, instead of having Bland, who had a very big breakout season last year, you go down to Carson, who was a project coming out of college, to now he's injured. You're going into guys that couldn't even step on the field when Bland was injured. Like, guys, this should be a big thing for us here potentially. And, we'll have to see with Slayton what happens with him. He's got that thumb injury. He might not be playing. But whoever's that second outside person, whether it be Hyatt, whether they put Wandale out there on certain plays, whatever the case may be, this is a scenario where they're going to go ahead and get a chance to compete against very low-end competition here in this. This is a spot that Daniel Jones, as much as he keeps throwing the ball to Nabers, and listen, guys, throwing the ball to Nabers, I'm not going to suggest taking him out of the game plan in any way, shape, or form. I am not scared of Diggs whatsoever after what, our least favorite first-round pick, Kadarius Toney, did to him a couple of years ago. But the second wide receiver spot's got to be a spot to look at with this the way things are going, guys. So hopefully they take full advantage of that.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.